how are you?
All right.
Where do you want me? Huh? Where do you want me? In one of, you want us to sit down?
Where are we?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Leave the paper. Unless you heard it. I didn't know how you guys wanted to sit. Normally I would have you guys sitting further apart, but because you guys are gonna have these drawings, I put it together. So I've got the kitchen. So yeah, if you want to put Renee beside me. Okay. Yes. And do you want to sit beside Renee or?
Oh, I'm just, trying to figure out where I'm standing. Before I stood like right there and then, you know, got the face.
You're gonna take time to
Are you guys all candidates? Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we get to your office, we'll ask if there is a candidate in the audience. And if there is a candidate in the audience, then we'll ask you to come up. We will have on the table where we put out the numbers. So depending on how many candidates are in your race, we'll put out the numbers. And then you'll just draw off the table, and then that will determine your ballot. If you want to follow along on where we're at, there are, all of you guys, there's races, okay. We've got the order in which we'll be drawn, and so we'll start president and then work our way down to the. I will ask, if we do have multiple people that come, and let's say, for instance, there's someone running for state representative that's having to wait, we may ask them to come in and swap you guys out when we get to the municipal, so that's one. Okay?
Please stop, Dominic. I need to stop.
Right, please. And you'll let us know if the candidate is on one. Right now, it doesn't look like it's okay.
Those are the ones that registered.
Okay. You care if I write on it?
Yeah, right. We're good.
In a minute, because I have to write down what you did to the house and what you wrote on the entertainment center glass, just in case I don't like that either. Okay.
Maybe that'll help you recognize who's there. Yes, obviously, if we ask you to step outside because there's a state representative here who's here to draw, when we get to the municipals, we will bring you back in, yes, if we need to. That's not the top, yeah. Or do we have one? You guys up there? Okay. Oh, great, I like it. Nice to be here, huh? Good, how are you? Oh, this,
That's okay.
Cool. Down the road.
I'm giving off, so next to the paper, I'm just here to get pictures too, I'm not photographing for everybody. Yeah, so, you know, if I just do a picture, it's kind of a random thing.
Get more clearance on here.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm just very, very random.
Yeah.
oh, after WN.
Okay, I didn't know, I just knew that there was an underscore.
Okay. Are you ready?
How's this gonna go?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Before we start.
Yeah.
So we do have some candidates in the audience. So when that's the case, I'll hand the ballot to Lacey will lay the two numbers down on the table. The candidate will come and draw off the table. And then if there's only one candidate, Lacey will show the second. Okay, does that sound acceptable?
Yeah, make sure she shows the
Yes,
second
yes,
number.
yes.
Visible to, I don't know where the camera is. exactly.
Right,
But, you know,
right, yes.
Yeah.
So,
Everyone can see.
right. So, yeah, so that'll be the commander, the candidate, sheriff, actually one person. And then we'll have some candidates online. So while, I hear him pulling that, we may need to pause so that he can pull them up to the top of the Zoom screen, you know how we have all the little images? And he'll be able to pull them up to the top so that they can see and they can be present. He will give us a signal. So, yeah.
So, are these screens gonna be on?
We won't see, but he's seeing on the screen so that we know the prerogative that.
That is very racist and derogative term.
And then how are we gonna do it if nobody's here?
Is the commission.
Do it?
Yeah.
Are they able to get that fixed?
Okay. Yeah, they don't have to. Gotta turn them on.
Stop.
It should be. Give me a second, as far as I know, they should be, but.
Oh, the mic's not on?
Give me a second.
Will we have that?
The whole thing for everyone.
So whatever they go on, that's what they'll show up. And then we all
We're almost done.
Okay. We got it on there.
If it's August, and when you do it, turn red, red up your feet. Then you hit it again.
We're good now.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna call this meeting to order. The first item of business is our provisional ballot hearing for the August 11th Springdale, special election from August, yeah, it said August the 11th. We have two provisional ballots. Are either one of the provisional ballot people here? Okay, since they are not here, we will move on to the ballot draw for the November the 3rd, 2020 general election. And I wonder if you are on the candidate list, would you raise your hand so we know who's here? Okay. All right, okay. We'll start at the top. We have 13 candidates. Oh, here, yeah, okay. And we have a bowl here with numbers, and Joseph R. Biden is the first candidate on this list for president, and the commissioners will draw. One will draw for Joseph R. Biden.
Joseph R. Biden, position number one. Oh. I'm just gonna leave it on. Joseph R. Biden, position number one.
Good. And Bill Ackerman is gonna draw for Donald J. Trump, the Republican candidate for president.
Number 8.
All right, now, we're just gonna go back and forth on this?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. The next candidate is the independent C.L. Gammon.
C.L. Gammon, position number two.
All right, right, the next one is independent candidate for president, Brock Pierce.
Number 6.
Number 6. Yeah, thank you. Okay, the next candidate is independent Kanye West.
Kanye West, position number 4.
Okay, independent candidate Rocky De La Fuente.
Number 11.
Then we have solidarity candidate Brian Carroll.
Brian Carroll, position number 5.
Next one is the Green Party candidate Howie Hawkins.
Howie Hawkins, number 3.
Next candidate is an independent candidate, Bill Collins.
Bill Collins, position number 7.
Next is the Libertarian candidate, Joe Jorgensen.
Joe Jorgensen, number 12.
Next candidate is Life and Liberty candidate, John Richard Myers.
John Richard Myers, number 9.
Next candidate is a Liberation candidate, Gloria LaRiva.
Gloria LaRiva, number 13.
And the last candidate for president is the Constitution Party, Don Blankenship.
Don Blankenship, number 10.
That's all of the presidential candidates. The next is U.S. Senate. We have 2 candidates for U.S. Senate. Republican Senator Tom Cotton.
Senator Tom Cotton, number 2.
2, and the Liberation candidate Ricky Dale Harrington Jr., presumably number 1.
Number 1.
1. We have 3 candidates for U.S. Congress, District 3. Democratic candidate Celeste Williams is first.
Celeste Williams, number 2.
Liberation candidate Michael J. Kalagius.
Michael J. Kalagius, number 1.
And Republican Congressman Steve Womack.
Number 3.
Third position. Now we'll draw for State Senate District 1 candidate. 2 positions. We'll draw first for Democratic Ronetta Francis.
Ronetta Francis, position number 1.
1. And Republican Bart Hester,
Number 2.
position 2. The next is State Senate District 2 positions. We have Republican Senator Jim Hendren and Democratic candidate Ryan Craig. First would be Senator Jim Hendry.
Number 2.
Position 2 for Jim Hendry.
Brian Craig, position 1.
Oh, okay. We're doing, State Representative District 80. We have Republican Representative Charlene Fight and Democratic Lou Reed Sharp, who I understand is online. Is she? And this is a virtual draw.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we need to draw for her first, since she is.
Yes. I'm not sure
Can
if
you
my
hear us?
phone, I can hear you, but I'm not sure that you can see me or whatever. I'm on my
No, we
iPhone.
can't see you.
We can't see
Okay.
you, but we can vaguely hear you.
All right. Well, you can draw for me then. How about that?
Okay.
You just do it for me. Crossing my fingers.
Lou Reed Sharp, position number 2.
Position 2, Lou Reed Sharp.
All right.
Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Position 1 would be, did you do, okay, you've already done that. Charlene Fight, position 1. Right now. In State Representative District 85, we have, for the Democratic Party, State Representative David Whitaker, and Republican Brian Hester. I'm told Brian Hester is online. So we will draw for Brian Hester first.
Brian Hester, number 2.
Position 2 for Brian Hester.
And I know Representative Whitaker had a meeting at the legislature today in Little Rock. So I will draw for him, position number 1.
Okay. For State Representative District 86, we have Representative Nicole Clowney representing the Democratic Party, and John S. Latour representing the Republican Party. We don't have either one of them.
Or either one of them online.
Okay. So we will draw for Representative Nicole Clowney first.
Nicole Clowney, position number 1. John Latour, number 2.
Okay. Next office is State Representative District 87, Republican Party candidate, State Representative Robin Lundstrom, and Democratic Party candidate Michael Bennett Spears. Either one? Okay, we'll draw for State Representative Robin Lundstrom first.
Lundstrom, Robin Lundstrom, number 1. Michael Bennett Spears, position number 2.
Next position is State Representative District 88, Democratic Party, Hollywood, Republican Party, Representative Clint Penzo.
Hollywood, position number 2.
Clint Benzel, number 1.
Next position is State Representative District 89. Our candidates are Republican Party, Jed Duggar, Democratic Party, Representative Megan Godfrey. Neither one of those. Jed Duggar.
Jed Duggar, number 2.
Megan Godfrey, position number 1.
Next, we have State Representative District 97, Republican Party, State Representative Harlan Breaux, and Democratic Party, Suzie Bell. Suzie Bell?
Nope.
No, I think Suzie Bell is online, isn't she?
She's on.
Yeah, Suzie Bell is online.
Okay.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes.
We can hear you, Susie, yes.
Okay,
I'm gonna draw for you.
thank you very much.
Suzie Bell, position number 2.
Position
Thank
2
you.
for Suzie Bell.
And Harlan Breaux, number 1.
State Representative Harlan Breaux, position number 1. Okay, that concludes the state offices. We'll move on to the county Justice of the Peace offices. District 1, the Republican is Justice of the Peace Lance C. Johnson, and the Democratic Party is Max Mayfield.
Lance Johnson's online, isn't he?
I don't see him if he's joined by name.
Okay. Okay, all right, Bill, you go ahead and draw for Lance Johnson.
Lance Johnson, number 2.
My question, where is that on this sheet, please?
It would be, after the state representative offices, below it, it says county,
Yes.
and then there's position 1.
I see. Thank you.
You bet.
Max Mayfield, number 1.
Okay. Justice of the Peace, District 2, we have Republican Shannon Markey and Democratic Party Fidel Biari.
Shannon Marty, number 2.
Adil Bayari, number 1.
Justice of the Peace, District 3, we have Republican Sean M. Simons and Democrat Laurie Marshall.
Both are online?
Yep, I'm here.
All right,
Sean Simons,
Is online.
Simon's online.
he's in the number 1 position here.
Sean Simon's number 2.
Thank you. Ladies first.
What'd he say?
Laurie Marshall, number 1.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
All right, Justice of the Peace, District 4, our candidates are Republican Bill Ussery, and Democratic Kenny Arredondo Loyola. Are they on either one? Okay. This is for Bill Ussery.
Bill Ussery, number 1.
Kenny Arredondo Loyola, number 2.
Justice of the Peace, District 5. Republican candidate is Justice of the Peace Patrick W. Deacon, and Democratic Randall Lane.
Patrick Deacon, number 2.
Position 2 for Patrick W. Deacon.
Randall Lane, position number 1.
Justice of the Peace, District 6, the candidates are Republican Justice of the Peace Lisa Ecke and Democratic Beth Coger.
Is Beth on? Huh? Both of them, or just Beth?
Okay, so draw for Beth.
I'm here.
Okay, we're drawing for you.
Thank you.
All right, Beth Coger, position number 1.
Yay! Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for joining.
And Lisa Ecke, position 2.
Next, we have Justice of the Peace, District 7. The Republican candidate is Justice of the Peace Sam B. Duncan, and the Democratic candidate is Janelle Bradford Smiley. Either one of them here?
Sam Duncan, position number 1.
Janelle Bradford Smiley, position number 2.
Next is Justice of the Peace, District 9. The candidates are Democratic Justice of the Peace Eva Madison and Republican Jim Stockland. Either here, online?
I'm here. Eva's here.
Okay, we're drawing for you.
Thank you, Max.
Sure. All right, Eva, position number 2.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us.
Jim Stockland, number 1. I'll just kidding.
No. We already drew for you.
Ma'am, what am I, 1 or 2?
I don't know.
Look, if you
1,
don't-
your position 1.
Thank you.
Number 1.
Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you for
you.
coming.
Hey, don't do that. Take
Sorry
care.
we got there before you.
All right, no problem. Have a great day.
You too.
All right, Justice of the Peace, District 10. The candidates are Republican Robert Dennis, Democratic Justice of the Peace Andrea Jenkins. Either? No.
Robert Dennis, number 2.
Andrea Jenkins, number 1.
Next one is Justice of the Peace, District 12. The candidates are Democratic Candy Clark and Republican Todd Edwin Crane.
Is there a Sarah Thompson online?
Sarah's not online. Okay.
Oh, wait.
She is. She's drawn for Candy. She is. Drawn for Candy.
So I'll draw for
Yes.
Sarah for Candy. Okay. Candy Clark, position number 2.
Todd Crane, position number 1.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Next one, Justice of the Peace, District 13. The candidates are Republican Justice of the Peace, Willie E. Lemming, and Democratic Brandy Weaver.
Randy Fleming, or Willie Fleming, number 2.
Brandy Weaver, position number 1.
Justice of the Peace, District 14. The candidates are Republican Jim Wilson, Democratic Kenley Haley Casey.
Is Jim Wilson on?
Okay. Jim Wilson, number 1.
Kenley Haley Casey, number 2.
And the last Justice of the Peace District is number 15. Candidates are Republican Justice of the Peace, Butch Pond, and Democratic Nan House.
Butch Fine, position number 1.
And House, position number 2.
Okay, we move on to the City of Farmington. City Council member, Ward 4, position 1. We have 2 candidates, Harry Yopp and Diane Bryant. Anyone here? Or online? Okay. Go ahead for Harry Yopp.
Carry out position number 2.
Diane Bryant, position number 1.
Now we have City of Fayetteville. First, for the office of mayor, we have 4 candidates. Mayor Lionel Jordan, Tom Terminella, William L. Harris, and Ron W. Bauckham. Anyone here? Come on up.
You need them over there now.
Here?
Yep.
Okay.
And you are?
I am William Harris.
Harris draws first.
How's that?
That was
Thank you very
good.
much. Leave it here?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay, you
go
keep
right
it.
ahead.
Anyone else here? Okay, we'll draw first for Mayor Lionel Jordan.
Position number 3.
Now for Tom Terminella,
Position number 4.
Ron W. Bauckham,
On Backum, number 2, position number 2.
Now we have City Council Member, Ward 1, Position 2. We have 4 candidates, and I'm gonna mess up the names, no doubt. Aurora Oyoka, DeAndre L. Jones,
Here, I'm here.
Pedro R. Pardon me?
This is DeAndre. I'm present.
Okay, all right, we also have Pedro R. Simbers Jr. and Tanner Pettigrew. If there's no other candidate, we will draw first for DeAndre L. Jones.
DeAndre, I'm gonna draw for you.
Thank
That's
you.
all right.
It's perfect.
DeAndre Jones, position number 3.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
is anyone else? Do we have anybody
Thank you
else
for joining.
online? Okay, so Bill will draw for Aru Oyoka.
Okay, position number 4.
This is for Pedro R. Simbres Jr.
Position number 1. You got one more.
You put an extra one in there.
Right there.
Tanner Pettigrew is position 2.
Position 2.
Now we have City Council Member Ward 2, Position 2. 2 candidates, Council Member Matthew Petty and William Chesser. Either one?
Matthew Petty, position number 1.
And William Chester, number 2.
Then we have City Council Member Ward 3, Position 2. The candidates are Sarah Bunch and Peter Tonnessen. Anyone here? No one online?
No. Sarah Bunch, position number 2.
Peter Tonneson, position number 1.
Now we have City Council Member Ward 4, Position 2. The candidates are Adam Firecat, Kyle Smith, Paul D. Waddell, and Holly Hertzberg. Are you a candidate? Okay, come on up. Position 2. Thank you. No one else is online? We'll draw for Kyle Smith.
Kyle Smith, position number 4.
Paul D. Waddell.
Waddell, number 3.
Holly Hertzberg.
Holly Hertzberg, position number 1.
Greenland, City Council Member, Ward 1, Position 1. Candidates are Charles Maddox and Diane L. Reed. Anyone here online? Okay.
Position number 2. Whitman Hunt? Or is this
No, this is,
Jim Burrow?
Charles Maddox.
Charles Maddox.
Charles. Yeah.
Position.
Number 2.
Diane L. Reed, position number 1.
Now we have City Council Member, Ward 2, Position 1 in the City of Greenland. The candidates are Jim Renfro and David L. Smith. Anybody?
Oh, there's someone online.
Someone's online.
David Smith.
Okay, David Smith.
Okay. All right.
I'm here.
Okay.
David L. Smith, position number 2.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim Renfro, position number 1.
Next, we have City of Greenland, City Council Member, Ward 2, Position 2. The candidates are Travis Weisenhunt and Lisa Thornton.
Travis Whitman Hunt, number 2.
Lisa Thornton, position number 1.
Now we have City of Lincoln, City Council Member, Ward 2, Position 2. The candidates are David Kirsinger and Amanda Thomas. Okay. Doug Kirsinger.
Position number 2.
Amanda Thomas.
Amanda, number 1.
Position 1. City of Springdale is next. City Council, Ward 1, Position 2, Randall Harriman and Mayra Carrillo. Thank you. Position 2. Randall Harriman, Position 1. City Council Member, Ward 2, Position 2, City of Springdale. The candidates are Kevin Flores and Councilman Rick Evans. Online?
Is anyone online? Or in person?
Kevin Flores,
Number 2.
Position 2.
Number 2.
Councilman Rick Evans,
Position number 1.
City Council Member, Ward 3, Position 2, City of Springdale. The candidates are Jeff Watson and Tyler Smalling. Anyone online? Jeff Watson.
Position number 1.
Tyler Smalling.
Position number 2.
position in City of Springdale, City Council Member, Ward 4, Position 2. Our candidates are Mark Coger, Kathy Jaycock, and Derek Van Vogt. And you are?
Here.
All right.
Thank you for coming.
Position 2 for Derek Van Vogt. Thank you, sir. The next one is Mark Coger,
Position number 1.
Position 1. And Kathy Jaycock,
Position number 3.
Position 3. And that concludes our ballot draw. I know it's been very exciting with the added element of having people online. If you have any questions, please contact our office. And we will go on with the business. This list will be posted probably by Monday or Tuesday. It'll be posted on our website. Thank you all.
Thank you guys for coming. Have a good day.
You're welcome to stick around if you like, but
Yeah.
it's even more boring.
No, sure.
Thank you.
Sure.
You want to go into that? Okay. But you thought it was Keith.
Good?
Thank you.
You bet. Good luck in your team.
Thank you.
If you please, in the presidential race, what do we get for Gammon and Pierce?
Here's his number 6.
Thank you.
Okay. Are you ready to move on? Well, no, you have to keep them on. You need them on, right? Okay. We still have people online. Okay, let's move on. Approve the minutes of the last meeting, August the 13th. Have y'all had a chance to look at those?
Yeah, the only change I have is just to clarify the last paragraph on the first page, the first sentence. Runoff elections will be 3 in Fayetteville and 1 in Springdale. Something like,
Yeah.
yeah, you got it, you know,
Yeah.
the potential runoff elections in this
Yeah.
election
Yeah.
are, potentially 3 in Fayetteville and 1 in Springdale.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm good with them. I'll make a motion to approve them with that change.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
All right.
Okay, we will make that change and file them. Next item is to certify the August 11th, 2020 City of Springdale special election.
So this includes the 2 provisional ballots, that were previously counted. And, this also will include, a certification that the judge has to sign. And so he has that in his office to sign as well. And then we'll forward this to the, City of Springdale.
Next item, the 2021 budget.
So the budget is included in your packet, and the only change is the inclusion of the extra money for, health insurance for 2 employees. So that's the only difference, and so that's reflected in our, final, budget numbers. And so I will submit this with your approval on the 24th.
That's right. Any other questions? Bob?
And then depending on how the budget process goes, we may or may not be called to present our budget. So I will let you know when we find that out.
Okay, well, if there's no questions or comments, I will entertain a motion.
So move to approve the budget for 2020.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, go forward. Thank you. Next item, ballot layout for the general election.
Okay, so if you don't mind passing those down.
No, not at all.
Okay, these look horrible, okay? We're having some,
Is it my eye?
no, we're having some issues. But with that, you're gonna see what I have 2 issues with the layout of the ballot currently. The first one is there are 13 presidential candidates and vice presidential candidates on the ballot. We know we're going to have more absentee ballots than we've ever had in the past. So I don't necessarily want to try and shrink font to be able to fit all the candidates in one column. Currently, there's no way, with the way we have the ballot laid out right now, to fit all the candidates in one column. My concern is that voters will see column 1, where it says vote for 1. Then they'll see column 2, and the instructions carry over because it has to follow, and it says vote for 1. So voters may think that they can vote for multiple presidential candidates.
Yeah, why does I see exactly what you mean. Why does the vote for 1 have to carry over to the second column?
It always follows to the top of the header, so that's just part of the programming process.
There's no.
No.
You can't edit.
So, we can't edit that, but here's my solution for it. We know we're going to have a 2-page ballot. Once we got issue 4 and 5, they're massive. So there's no way for us to not have a 2-page ballot. If I take and do a 2-column ballot, I would then be able to take, so for instance, if you see under the president's name, the candidate's name, and it says U.S. President, I can take and put that all on one line, and then it would say, so let's say Donald J. Trump. You notice it says U.S. President underneath his name. If I say Donald J. Trump, comma, U.S. President, and then do Michael R. Pence, comma, U.S. Vice President, and I do that the same for every single, it takes out enough lines for me to be able to put all the candidates in one column.
If you have 2 columns rather than 3.
Yes. And because we have to have a 2-page ballot, it's not going to change that, and the layout may even look nicer with us doing that. So basically, what I'm asking is, is that a good solution? Because that's the only solution I've come up with so far. But by putting it in that single line, I drop enough lines to be able to get in one column. And in my mind, that's the most important thing, is because otherwise I think the viewers or the voters are going to be confused on the ballot.
Sure, I don't disagree. Trying to fix that.
Yeah.
Well, every candidate is treated the same.
Every candidate, it will look exactly the same. So for instance, Joseph R. Biden, it would say Joseph R. Biden, comma, U.S. President.
So I guess my question is, if issues 4 and 5, and or, I know those two, if those get knocked out in the litigation that's pending, is there any chance we could go to a one-page ballot?
It's possible, and we think that there would be, but I don't know that we'll have the answer to that before we need to print ballots.
September 18th is the date they go out, or is that when they're approved?
So we will approve ballots on we have it September 1st is our day to approve ballots.
Is that the deadline?
It's not the deadline, but we print our ballots in-house, and with the number of ballots that the clerk's office will need to print, even though we have the ability to wait until the 18th or the 17th, I don't want to push it to the deadline, because then I'm pushing the clerk
Sure.
up to her deadline. And if we're having to print 4,000 ballots in a day, that means that she's having to fold and stuff 4,000. So we will hold off as long as we can. I'm going to do a 2-column ballot so you can see what it looks like. And we'll be able to find out if, for instance, 4 and 5 fall off, will we still have, and I think we should be able to, we will play with it a little bit. I mean, we're gonna continue to play with it, but I don't want us to wait on approving the ballots too long. So that's issue number 1. Issue number 2 with the ballot is on it's on the second page that I gave you. You'll see on the second page under the school tax for Prairie Grove, which is not changing, by the way, so for people listening, it's not a change in the school tax. But right underneath the school tax on column 1, we are required to put unopposed candidates, vote for all unopposed candidates on the ballot, but we're not required to list the unopposed candidates. Now, unopposed candidates for the state offices will be listed as their own office. This ballot doesn't reflect any of those. But just like when we have a single candidate for mayor, a single candidate for city clerk, we have to list them by themselves. All the state representatives and the state senators, there's only one, Senate 7, will be listed in their own. We're not required to list JPs, we're not required to list Beaver Water District, school candidates, or any municipal candidates.
As long as they're unopposed.
As long as they're unopposed. However, we are required to put in a little thing that says unopposed candidates, vote for all unopposed candidates. This is that new law that was passed in 2019 that we argued against because it made 0 sense for the ballot, and it just adds confusion. So this was just my thought on this, was to put in that little part of the law, because otherwise we either list candidates, which takes up valuable space on the ballot, or we don't list candidates, and then voters are looking at this little box that says unopposed candidates, vote for all.
Ask a question. Page 1, we have space in the lower right-hand corner. Statement. Would it be permissible to put that unopposed candidate statement in that space, and give you more space on the second page, and maybe increase the size of the font?
That won't matter. So normally,
This is just an example.
well, okay, normally it would fall in a different space, but see, the city of Prairie Grove has a special election. The city of Prairie Grove has a school tax. On ballots that don't have that, it will fall underneath the nonpartisan judicial. So we can move it wherever you want us to move it. We felt like putting it at the end of the ballot, before the state issues, made the most sense, because you don't wanna waste space on the front of the ballot with the unopposed candidate.
I see what you're saying, Bill, but I think it'll move, this will all change around when you have.
Well, when we do,
right?
if we do the 2 column, yes, then definitely stuff will switch around. And we can move it wherever we need to. One of the things we were trying to do is, if issue 4 and 5 get pushed off the ballot, then this would be kind of at the tail end of the ballot and not take space up on the front of the ballot.
So do you really need to wait and see, or you reconstruct that, or you wanna do it now?
No, this has to be on the ballot. My question is, I can move it wherever you want to, and we'll play with the layout to see where it looks the best. My question to you is, the part I have in it is the language from the law as the explanation to the voters on why this is on the ballot. Is that yes or no? That's what I'm at. I mean, or should I just leave it as is and just put unopposed candidate and then just put vote for all unopposed candidates and just let that be it?
I don't think that is, it doesn't take up that much room.
No, it doesn't, but it's, I mean.
And it does provide explanation for why you don't have them individually listed.
Right.
Which I think is what your thinking is.
Because that's the question we're gonna ask. Well, who are we voting for? Well, how do we know who these candidates are? And if we list them, then it takes up too much space on the ballot, and it doesn't make any sense to do that. So, my question is, does that make sense to do this, not do it? I mean, that's kind of what.
I think we should change the language, because it's.
So this is the law. I just pulled straight from the law and stuck it in there.
The law doesn't state that we have to quote this section of the statute
It
verbatim.
doesn't. And I just wanted to give us a starting point to
Sure.
try and figure out what we wanted to put in there. So what we got from the SOS was just saying, for general elections, the phrase unopposed candidates must appear on the ballot, permitting a voter to cast one vote for all unopposed candidates. But the candidates do not have to be listed. So I didn't want to try and come up with language, outside of the law, basically. So, I mean.
You feel comfortable just putting the law in there as the explanation?
That was my thinking, because then if we change it and we put something different, that could be interpreted by someone.
Yeah, but the way that you've done it is, that's just a section of the statute, and it's referencing another section of the statute that's not included.
That's true.
And it's gonna be real confusing to voters.
So if I took out,
What was the traditional language we used, just, because we used to put this on the ballot,
we would list the candidates.
yeah, but didn't it say something at the top, like, vote for all unopposed candidates, and then it listed them?
Yeah, something
Why
along.
don't I just have basic language, like what you have here almost, vote for all unopposed candidates? And then we could put I don't know if you cite the statute at all, I think that might be confusing to people, but, I wanna think about it a little bit. I think as you've done it here, it's a little bit confusing the way that's worded. I think people are gonna have trouble with it.
We could take out I could just start it as unopposed candidates for all offices shall be declared and certified elected without the necessity of including those names on the.
I mean, that's fine. Would it be then, vote for all unopposed candidates, and then there's no other option? That's how it is, right? I'm fine with that.
So if I
That's
just
good
take,
language, just that.
Cleans it up.
Yeah, cleans it up.
if I just take out everything and then just start with the for all or unopposed candidates for all offices, just start and just go with that.
Yeah, and the subdivision A to B, I mean, that's,
Drop that.
I think we should drop that first part, but that's referencing what you said earlier, the state representative, city clerk,
Right.
those specific positions.
So I can just say unopposed candidates for all offices shall be declared declared and certified elected without the necessity of including those names on the general election ballot.
Oh, unopposed offices.
It says unopposed candidates for all offices. See, that's why, I mean, I don't know.
The way that just citing the section of the statute, I think it's confusing. I think they'll really be thrown off by that first part.
Mm.
Yeah, I think you need to delete that statute word public,
Okay,
and then go back in there with several direct language you're working on right now.
Yeah.
To make it suitable, make it clear to the voter
okay.
I
what
agree.
they are doing. The only vote they have is to do the form, but they don't.
Or nothing.
Yeah,
Even
exactly.
empty.
So just unopposed candidates for all offices shall be declared and certified elected without the necessity of including those names on the general election ballot.
And
I mean,
then-
that's still from the law,
Yeah,
just taking
exactly.
out that top
I
part.
think that's better.
Okay. This is, I mean, this is where that needs to be cleaned up next year, because it's too confusing when you say you're voting for all unopposed candidates and then there isn't anything listed. But we don't want to list candidates because then it takes up too much space.
Yeah, we don't have to,
Right,
because it'll extend the length of the ballot.
Yes.
We've got so many printed ballots this year. I mean, these are the exact reasons we argued against this.
yes,
That's right.
You know, we all argued against it, and the bill passed anyway, and now we've got to print a ton of ballots for absentee voting. I mean, no one knew this would happen,
Right.
but that was part of the concern, was extending the length of the ballot, having it list all these candidates. So I think this is a good solution.
And get rid of the
Yeah.
voted listing.
Yeah.
On the first part of your, concern, I'm wondering, since we make a point of, when we do the ballot draw, we list the candidate by what I presume is their preferred title name.
yes. That's how their names will appear on the ballot.
So, how does that, reflect in the presidential column if you're gonna put after everyone, comma, U.S. President or comma, U.S. Vice President?
Okay, so this is where it gets tricky with the
Yeah.
presidential candidate.
Yeah,
If you notice, no other contest requires us to put U.S. Congress District 3 after every candidate. We have to designate that the second name is the vice presidential candidate. So that's why it's always been U.S. President underneath the name U.S. Vice President. So when the voter is casting their ballot, they know that Donald Trump is the president, Michael Pence is vice president, Joe R. Biden is president, so on and so forth. So they know which is the presidential candidate and which is the vice presidential candidate. So
I guess what I'm asking is, are we required by any law to put the name exactly as they, I mean, because we do on the under ballot, positions, are we required to list it exactly as they've shown
So
on the
we're-
filing?
we're required to list their name. So for instance, C.L. Gammon, that's how we have to put his name, because
Right.
that's how he filed.
Right.
Bill Collins, that's how he filed, so that's how we put his name. The problem is so yes, that has to be on there exactly. It's figuring out which one is the candidate. Now, spacing wise, I don't know, would we be able to say Donald J. Trump, U.S. President candidate? Michael R. Pence, U.S. Vice President candidate. See, we've never done that. We've never had this issue. We've never had 13 presidential candidates before.
Didn't we have 17 last time?
Okay, so those were for the primary, and they didn't have
Oh,
vice
that's right,
presidents
yeah.
with them. So we could list them all, so it wasn't an issue.
That's the difference.
This is the problem, is that we have both a candidate and a vice presidential candidate and their political party.
Okay, so, I don't see that as a problem, however, you always have to put, even though in the heading you've got U.S. President and U.S. Vice President vote for one, you have to repeat the U.S. President, U.S. Vice President on each candidate.
I can get clarification. I don't know that, because that's what is designating which candidate is the presidential candidate, and which candidate is the
Right.
vice presidential candidate. I don't know if it's permissible, and since we've never had to ask this question, I didn't have a chance to look it up, I don't know if it's permissible to just do the president's candidate's name and the vice president's name without differentiating between the two, but I don't think it is. That's why I brought my book up.
I think we should try the 2-column and just see how it looks.
Yeah,
Just give it a shot.
certainly. We need some options here. I guess that's what it amounts to, because it's a little hard to make any kind of determination based on what's here, and this is pretty rough.
Well, and the reason this is rough is we're having peer issues, and so, but it gives you, it lets you see
Yep.
what it was that we were having problems with.
And it appears that you would not be able to fit U.S. President, U.S. Vice President in, the line without it being 2 columns instead of 3.
I don't know. Oh, yeah, there's one that's too long. Rocky de la Fuente is too long.
Yeah.
That's why we would have to go,
And
yeah.
that could be uniform.
There might be a few that would be too long.
Yeah, Jeremy Spike Cohen, his name would be too long too.
Excuse me, let me interject myself here, Jennifer. Madam President, Max, what would the two of you think about just asking her to proceed with the issue that she's explained it to us, and come back with a couple of 3 different options
Right.
that perhaps will work technically? You might want to check with Secretary of State and or ES&S, see what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they may not be trying to go to a 3-page ballot or 2-column ballot, but at least explain to them what your issues are and see what they have to say. Is that reasonable?
Yeah. I think that's
That, I
a
mean,
great
yes,
suggestion.
but I don't wanna wait too long. I almost
Right.
feel like I almost feel like we may need to meet next week, because the longer we wait on these type of issues,
Sure.
the longer it puts us off on being able to proof ballots and to be able to test before we print our test, before we get our absentee ballots out.
Well, that's fine, we can meet next week, but I agree, Bill, if you can put together a couple of options, Jennifer, and then we can see it and see what it
Yeah,
looks like.
give us something to work with.
Okay.
It's obvious, but we're not gonna solve it at this table.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I feel like our best option is going to be the 2-column.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. I'd recommend you just
Yeah,
work out what you think is the most realistic way to do this, and practical.
I agree. We'll meet next week, look it over.
We need to meet for 30 minutes or an hour to do it.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, well, let's move on then. What?
I don't mean to imply, Jennifer, that you lose a week or 10 days.
Right, that's why I'm
We'll knock it
saying,
out next
You
week.
gotta do it
okay,
now.
yeah, because we don't have
Yeah.
time to,
Yeah, we'll
the
meet.
layout, yeah.
Okay, tell us, just for our own benefit, tell us what the drop dead days are that you are looking at right now.
Okay, so our absentee ballots have to be in the county clerk's office by September the 17th. Now, with the amount of ballots that, because we are printing, that really needs to be in her office before then, by either the 14th or the 15th. Because we need to be able to make sure that we can print the ballots and have everything ready for her. I don't want to wait until the 17th. It's not fair to the county clerk's office for us to do that. So the 14th would be the day I would want to be having everything in her office to be able to review it.
Well, and if
Monday
we,
the 14th.
if we can do stuff early, I completely agree, the earlier we do it, the better.
Mhm.
Give everyone more time on the back end.
Right.
Work on it over the weekend and pick it up Monday.
Okay, what else?
Well,
What other-
Monday's a little too soon. But I would like to, I think Tuesday, what do you think? No, to meet
Oh,
next
meet
Tuesday.
next Tuesday, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
The 25th,
all right.
Is that-
25th?
Yeah, I think it works for me if you guys
I know.
are good.
What time? Later in the day?
That might be better, that'll give us,
4 o'clock? 4 o'clock, that's fine. If it's gonna be later in the day,
The
it's gonna be toward the end.
Sure, 100% agree. Yeah, I appreciate that, yeah.
Okay, all right, what else? What other drop deads are we looking at?
okay, that's the big one.
Okay.
Once we get the ballot to Becky's office, then we've already tested, we've already done LNA, we've already done all of those things that we're supposed to do for the ballot. So, what I don't wanna do is wait until it's not fair,
Right, right.
so, to do that.
Okay.
All right, well, let's move on then, and we will schedule next Tuesday. Update on polling locations for early vote and election day.
So I am making progress. I think we do now have a polling location on Mount Comfort Road, the Mount Comfort Church. I'm meeting with them next Thursday, to get everything in order. So I think that solves a big problem for us on Mount Comfort. So I should definitely have a decision on that on Thursday. And then I have an alternative location for us, for early vote on Weddington if we cannot be in the Boys and Girls Club. School starts on the 24th, so I thought I would let the Boys and Girls Club get settled in a couple of days before I gave them a call back to see about reconsidering letting us back into the Boys and Girls Club. But there is a dance studio on, it's in the old event center, it's called Diamond Dance. It's on the corner of Weddington and Double Springs Road. It's a 2-minute drive from the lights at, the Boys and Girls Club to the event center. But the space is big enough for us. They're willing to host us. And so it would definitely work for us if the Boys and Girls Club is not an option for us. So at least we would have something on Weddington. And then,
I mean, I think it's great you've got a backup location.
Yeah.
Boys and Girls Club, strong preference.
Right.
And then, I mean, that event center's a little ways out there. Just, you're not gonna get the kind of traffic that you're gonna get if it's something that's more in the mix there. Are there any other options? I mean, are you still working on things?
The
that are
only-
in sort of that shopping center?
that would be our only other option, but I don't have any leads on it right now. So I'll continue looking at that, but it is just nice knowing that we have something on
For
Weddington.
sure.
Because for us to not have anything on Weddington would be very bad for us, so.
Yeah, you have to have something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I'll keep working on figuring out that location as well.
Cool.
There are several places that we will have to close just because of lack of poll workers and location sizes. And so although we're starting to get more poll worker applications in, it's still not gonna be enough, and we've lost supervisors too. So it's hard to replace supervisors, with brand new poll workers for a general election. But I would like for us, and I should have a list for us on the 25th, kind of what I want to do since we're going to meet on the 25th, and hopefully make a decision on September 1st on which polling places we are going to open and close.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've let into the poll worker, part.
Yeah, so we will start training poll workers, September the 24th. And we'll bring them in one polling location at a time. We'll be able to do four locations each day. And then I've got schedule in there for new poll workers as well. I do think it is important to bring all the polling locations in and as many of the poll workers in to train before the general election.
Definitely.
Just so that we can go over everything we need to with them.
What are the dates for poll worker training for new folks if they want to be poll workers?
So-
I've had a couple of people ask who have jobs, it's hard to get off.
Yeah. Okay,
Or
so-
interested in working election day, but,
So there's two different things I am looking at doing.
Yeah.
One is, I had a company call me yesterday, and they are willing to give their staff an extra vacation day so that they can sign up to be poll workers.
That's only for election.
Right, but because they're going to be volunteers, so see, this is where it makes a difference. If they're going to be volunteers, they don't have to come in for county orientation. And I would be able to do like a Zoom training class or a weekend class for training for these poll workers, because I don't have to worry about them going through HR. So that depends. So that I can be super flexible on when I'm training, and I'm working with this company right now to try and figure out how we would get them trained, because they're gonna be strictly volunteers. But we will have them go through training, but I can do it on the weekends, I could do a Zoom class at night, anything like that, would be possible for us to do. When they sign up to be poll workers to be paid, they have to come in through orientation. So that requires them to come to orientation, and then they would have to take another day off to come to training. So
they
we've
have
got,
to take off basically if they're poll workers and just want to work election day, potentially 3 days, one for HR training, orientation, one for training, and then election.
yes.
Got it.
But if they sign up to be volunteers, then I can, they can skip the HR one, and I can, do virtual classes with some of them, so they wouldn't have to take another day off of work.
Got it. Okay, that's really helpful info, thank you.
Regulation is that orientation, that's the county?
It came from the county, yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
question. How
so.
long does that go, and that's a requirement?
It didn't used to be,
Get paid.
it wasn't that way when, well, wherever Debbie went to, it wasn't that way when Debbie started. They were considered contract workers, and they weren't required to be, hired by the county. So they didn't have to attend the HR part of it. And then, several years ago, I think back when, George Butler was here and when Marilyn Edwards was here, it changed.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, what is that, I'm just curious, how long is that HR orientation, and
It's
what
an
does that
hour and a
entail?
half.
But you have to come in and do it.
Yes, because you have to bring, you have to fill out your I-9, you have to watch 3 videos that don't have anything to do with being a poll worker. There's different things to it that you have to do. Now, if they could skip the videos and they could just fill out an I-9, I could do that as my first part
Yeah,
of poll worker training.
yeah.
And then we could just train them, but
Yeah.
instead they have to watch the videos and all of that, and that's what causes it to be a separate day.
Yeah, I'm with you, Bill. I think that's something we should.
Maybe time to readdress that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I would agree.
It just doesn't make sense to make someone go through all that when we're having a hard time getting poll workers now.
Right.
And that's an additional day and burden for people if they, are taking time out of the schedule where they work or have something else
Right.
going on.
Mm-hmm.
And the part-time status precludes that, except for the I-9. That's a solution. And I would think that the powers that be would embrace that in order get rid of all the excess work, it's work for them as well.
It's a lot of work for
Sure.
the other departments too, because
And I'm not sure the judge understands it. Or is even aware of it, and I'm not sure your new comptroller is either.
I mean, frankly, I wasn't aware of how, I knew there was some sort of, process you had to go through, but, I think it's really come to light in light of the difficulties we're having this year.
Well, it's been, what, 4 years or 4 or 5 years ago that kind of changed, how long has it been?
Oh, it's been since 2007. But I feel like we're kind of the only county that does it this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was because of our administration, the last program.
At the time.
Well, we should address that, we should change that, if we have the
Well,
ability
it's
to.
probably chiefly an HR requirement, and, I wouldn't think that it would be a QC decision or a judge decision. It would basically be whatever HR had instituted.
Who sets that? I mean, their policies, though,
I just know when it changed, it came from the county attorney at the time, when it changed.
Seems like HR policy would be set by the executive, which is kind of judge, right? I would think so, yeah.
And even if you relied on council, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, other counties aren't doing this, this is a legal requirement.
Yeah.
And how do you think it's better to address it sooner than later? Right now, do we have the crunch time?
Yeah.
Right now, yes, right now, we've hired, I have had 36 poll workers go through orientation. I have 10 more set up to go through on Wednesday, and then I have 30 waiting to go through orientation. So, which,
Yeah, it is.
that's great numbers, 60,
Sure.
that's like 60 poll workers,
Yeah.
but then you break it down, it's only 2 per site. So.
Oh, no, don't say that. I know, right?
I know.
That's great, no, I think
I
that's
know, it
great.
sounds like it's like a lot, and it is, and we are super, super grateful to have everyone that has come in. And some young poll workers have
Good.
signed up, just wonderful to have them sign up.
Good, that's
And I'm
great.
getting applications every day, so that's great. So I think if it continues like it is, we should be
Right,
set.
that should be encouraging.
So, yeah.
Well, do we agree that we need to readdress the situation?
It would be easier.
Work with Jennifer on that.
Yeah.
Yes, I would definitely.
Whatever support you need from us, it sounds like we're all on the same page.
Right, yeah, and it just seems like a superfluous requirement,
I agree,
that nobody obviously has noticed except for our department.
yeah.
Well, and our department's
Well, we're
unique.
Yeah, we're the only ones that are
Right,
hiring
right.
part-time people,
Right.
employees
Sure.
for one day,
Sure.
out of, however many years.
Right.
And it creates a lot of consternation for us and over,
Yeah,
not to mention the county.
yeah.
Well,
This is a critical time, this is a serious time. And we're seriously short of poll workers and gonna be short.
Right.
So we need to simplify the process if we possibly can.
I
High
agree.
school program, what do you got to tell us about that?
Oh, it's not good news.
Oh, no!
They can't do field trips.
Oh, right now.
Does it have to be a field trip?
I am working through that right now to see
Oh,
if that is possible. So I have contacted both of the 2 schools that participated, in the spring with the program, and we're trying to figure out a solution to having the students work. So we are looking at that. It may be that I have to go to the schools to do training because they would not be able to come like they did. I mean, because they brought the students in, and we trained like 80 students at a time.
That's great.
We
yeah.
wouldn't be able to do that, but I could do some like training webinars or different things like that, or go to the school. So we are working
So it's
on
still
that.
possible, it's just a workaround that we're gonna have to look at.
It is possible,
Okay.
so yes,
Okay,
so,
well, it's not
Good.
bad news, I thought.
no, it's not all bad news. I did hire my son to be a poll worker.
Oh.
So I was like, you need to sign up right now. Yes, I was like, you're gonna sign up, you're 17, you're a high school student, so yeah. So,
Okay, what else on poll workers, anything?
I think that's it for right now.
Okay, so let's go on to upcoming meetings. September the first, ballot
Well,
approval.
Yes, and we'll have August 25th at 4 o'clock.
Right,
so.
okay, August 20th. And October the first, November 3rd, November 5th, and we move on from there.
Yeah.
Other
So-
business?
Nope.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, then I would say we are adjourned.
Okay.
Nice job. Get that point. Okay, so you're, okay. That's it. All right. Okay.
You're back, Renee, Bill?
Thanks.
I'm gonna go work on that ballot
You
now.
get that done, Debbie.
Get it done, Debbie.
And I know you'll do a good job. Give us several options.
I will do my best.
And make sure you spell congressman with an R.
Did I not?
No.
Oh.
We have not proved. I know. That was the first thing I noticed, and I went, I'm not saying anything, but I did anyway.
No, I'm glad you did, because
It's hard. You look at a document so many times that if the first letter is right and the last letter is right, you just go over it. So I get it. I have